Well, it's good to have Boymes back, but is William going to be evil? I'm Al, this is the Geek in Review, and this is episode 2 review of Star Trek Lower Decks. Now it opens up with the gang are getting the sonic showers, which we find out are unisex. And if you've seen the film Starship Troopers, that would seem familiar. And it's nice to see the sonic showers actually get used because they do get referenced quite a lot. And I think in Voyager and maybe Enterprise is the only time that we've seen them. And as always, this does have a great tie-in to the Next Generation with Mike McMahon. We've got the crew that are on a mission to catalogue a collector who's died, and this collector is part of the Collectors Guild too. If that sounds familiar, there's a great episode of TNG where one of these guys tried to collect data. It's certainly worth a watch, and it's probably one of the best solo data episodes in the Next Generation. What they basically have to do is go in and catalogue these items and take care of any ones that could be potentially dangerous. And again, it shows Mike McMahon's love for the Next Generation that he's exploring this one little facet that was just sort of casually mentioned. Although the character of the Collector himself was big in that episode, we didn't really think we'd ever see any more on this. This episode is probably one of the most chock full of Easter egg episodes ever created, not just for Lower Decks, but for anything at all, including Marvel. There's absolutely everything in here. We've got Temerians, we've got the game headset, we've got Jem'Hadar swords, we've got Batless, we've got giant animated Spock skeletons in this collection. And speaking of Temerians, we do meet the new security chief Kayshon, who straight away gives us a reference to Jack Quaid, who plays Boymore's other show, The Boys, when he mentions Rafiki in The Seven. The main group of superheroes in The Boys TV show is The Seven. If you haven't checked The Boys out, definitely go and check it out. It's really dark, it's really different, and it's a great superhero show, especially if you're sick of all the Marvel and DC stuff. It's a great antidote to all that. It's on Amazon Prime, go and check it out. But speaking of Boymore, he isn't doing very well on the Titan while they deal with the pack lids. And I do love the action sequence. It was phenomenal for an animated show, and it really had a lot of depth for space and a lot of colour, and it was great seeing Titan fire off some shots. And Riker's "That's a Rap" line was absolutely brilliant as well. That's obviously a reference to Jonathan Frakes, who's directed a lot of Next Generation episodes, and one of the best Star Trek films, First Contact, and one of the worst Star Trek films, Insurrection, in my opinion. And the Titan are trying to work out what the Packlid's strategy are, as they want to plan a mission to plant a tracker on one of their ships. So they send Boymore and an away team undercover as miners, and straight away when they land on the planet, Boymore's recognised as Starfleet because of his soft hands, which I thought was absolutely brilliant. Because he would have soft hands, he's an engineering guy, he just presses buttons on light up screens. But this is the first time we've actually seen Boymore in proper danger, and he doesn't handle it very well. He confesses to the rest of the away team when they're under fire from the Packlids that he didn't join Starfleet for this, and that he did want to join up to be an explorer. And the away team have a great dig at Riker that the Next Generation, or the Enterprise D, was just a giant cruise ship and all he did was relax for 7 years, which is a great point looking at the Enterprise D compared to the other Star Trek ships. It is a giant cruise liner. And I know I might get some hate for that, but hey, it's true. I love the ship, I love the show, and I love Lower Decks as well. But sometimes you just got to accept facts. And with more Next Generation tie-ins, Boimler tries to help beam the away team back to the Titan, but is a distortion field which is very similar to the one that created William Riker in the Next Generation and the Deep Space Nine episodes. And that's how we're going to get Boimler back. When they try and beam him back, there's a bit of an issue getting him onto the pad straight away. So they do manage to get him back onto the Titan with some trickery, but then after this has happened, they find out that the shuttlecraft the away team was in is returning to the ship, and there's another Boymore on board. So Riker decides that one of them has to go back to the Cerritos, as it would be too confusing for everyone on board if there was two Brad Boymores. So one of them steps forward expecting them both to, and this guy's the one that's going to end up back on the ship with Beckett and the rest of the crew. What's a great little tie-in here is that the other Boymore that stays on the Titan decides to go by William, and Riker is absolutely chuffed by this. But I think this does raise a few questions, as are we going to see William Boymore again? And will William Boymore go evil? Now, knowing Mike McMahon, I'd like to think that he is going to pay this off at some point, and it would sort of go into all the Star Trek tropes that they do explore in this show and sort of make fun of. So I do hope we see William Boymore, but in the meantime, we're going to be stuck with Brad, and I'm quite happy with that. I don't know about you. But back to the collection, Kayshon, who's the new Temerian security chief, is having problems with the Universal Translator, and I knew they were going to do these sort of jokes. They do lean into it a little bit heavily. And one thing that annoyed me, or one thing that I think was a missed opportunity, is they never really gave him any new dialogue outside of the Temerian dialogue. I know there was a few lines throughout it, but they could have given him a few new metaphors, or at least something that we would have picked up on, or maybe a metaphor that the Temerians have adapted. So I did enjoy Kayshon, and I did enjoy what's about to happen to him, which I'll talk about in a second, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of him in the future. So when they beam into the room of the Collector, it's a room full of Easter eggs. I mean, this has everything. What I could see was the game headset, various weapons, as I mentioned, the giant Spock from the animated show. There's going to be loads of other stuff in there that I need to get a look at, and I'm sure there are other people online that are tearing this apart as well. But my god, was this show filled with Easter eggs. But while they're doing their cataloguing, an alarm is tripped, and I thought another great Easter egg was the hologram bursting out saying like Dennis Nedry in Jurassic Park. Not a lot of people have picked up on that, which I was surprised about, because I got it straight away. I'm not blowing my own trumpet, I'm just a massive Jurassic Park fan. And then, I wouldn't say Kayshon gets killed, but he gets reconfigured into a puppet. And the scene where Jet and Beckett are arguing over him like a Beanie Baby, like that couple from the famous meme, which is one of the first internet memes, which a couple actually had to split their Beanie Baby collection in the divorce, and there's a very famous picture of them in court. The whole premise of the cerritos side of the episode is the gang need to escape. It turns into a sort of escape room sort situation, and yeah, while this episode was fun, I did think it was a little bit too 50-50 with the Boimler and cerritos story. I think this should have been split over 2 episodes. It just felt like there was a little bit too much, especially with all the Easter eggs and Riker and everything else in there. It was just a lot to take in is what I'm saying. I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it. I do think it was better than episode 1, and I'm looking forward to more of Lower Decks. But what did you think of Star Trek Lower Decks episode 2? Did you like it? Did you think it was better than episode 1? You can leave a comment below, or you can reach me on Twitter at The Geeks Reviews. My name's Al, thanks for watching, please subscribe and like the video.